coming to you live from our studios in Lagos, Nigeria. It's Monday, May 24, 2021. Welcome to Breakfast Central.
How quick time flies, especially on a weekend. Before you know it, a brand new working week is knocking at your door. Hola and good morning to all our viewers from the African continent and beyond. My name is Oluchi Enobong.
Good morning, my name is Olisa Chukuma, and need I say this, you are indeed watching, and welcome to the brightest breakfast show on the African continent. Today's show is packed with all you need to get your day. First, here are our headlines. We'll take you to Nigeria, where tributes to the late Chief of Army Staff continues.
I will go to Central Africa, where Democratic Republic of Congo residents flee from the volcanic eruption.
We'll look at the newspaper review of different papers across Africa.
And in the world of sports, Man City crowned Premier League champions.
And in the world of entertainment, Seun Kuti and Angelica Kidjo feature on Sony's new album. Many thanks for watching. This is Breakfast Central on News Central. It's a Monday, and straight we go for the newspaper review. And we're starting in Nigeria, West Africa, with the Daily Trust paper to see what they have for us this morning. So big headline there. So Daily Trust says 4 policemen, 44 others killed in gunmen attacks. So that's what you have it on the front page. And they've also gone with an infographic about gunmen attacks so far in states like Zamfara, Niger State, Plateau State, Adamawa State, Ebonyi State, Delta, even Edo. Also at the bottom there, intense lobby as Buhari shops for new army staff. Don't forget the loss of the Chief of Army Staff happened at the weekend. We'll be talking about that much later on the program. Also on the front page, Tinubu governors, others, Southwest leaders reject secession. All of that on the front page of this morning's Daily Trust. All
right, from the Daily Trust, we are moving to Kenya this morning, looking at the Standard newspaper. The Standard newspaper has a lot for us to read this morning. Now, Speaker Muturi says, "Why I'm ready to lead." You have more details on this. No end yet to Israel-Gaza war. You will find more information in the Standard this morning. Jobs to go at Kenya Power. Yes, looking at the power industry in Kenya. Of course, there are more opportunities, but you will have to go through the pages to get more information on that. Who failed Uhuru? Now we're going to the blame game. You know, one party is saying, oh, you caused this. The other party is saying, you also have a part to play. But of course, they have the president's ears and will influence in the corridors of power. More details in the Kenyan newspaper. That is the Standard this morning.
And from there, we move to the Guardian Post in Cameroon to see what they have this morning. The Cameroon Guardian Post. So it talks about the economic social consequences. Economic social consequences alarming. All about Anglophone crisis. IDPs willing to return to Northwest, trapped in Francophone regions for fear of going through the nightmare of trading done the abandoned area. Now, there you have it on the front page. Also on the front page, Archbishop in Kia strikes Anglophone political scammers. So it's all about this Anglophone, Francophone crisis narrative in the Central African country, Cameroon. And also at the top, Military Engineering Corps hailed for job well done. All that and more for sports basic. The bottom right talks about CAF Confederations Cup. Cotton Sport miraculously qualifies for semi-final. We'll tell you about much later when it comes to sports.
All right, moving on from the Guardian Post, we are going to the South African paper. We're looking at the Sowetan papers this morning. And the Sowetan papers, it says, Musuku not off the hook yet. That's one of the stories we have there for you to read. We also have the picture of the accident that happened on the road. Yes, this was a bus fire horror, quote unquote. That's what it says. It says a 3-day search for their loved ones. Now, families of missing passengers visit the hospitals and the mortuaries, and there are no results yet, meaning they haven't found their loved ones. And the cops are telling frustrated relatives forensic officials do not work on weekends. More information in that in the Sowetan papers this morning. Now, on the virtual 2021 budget speech, which is happening for 26th of May 2021, you have more information in the Sowetan papers for you this morning.
All right, so there you have it on the front pages. We started with West Africa, Nigeria's Daily Trust, and East Africa, Kenya's The Standard, Central Africa with Cameroon's Guardian Post, and also ended up in the South with the Sowetan. Away from the papers this morning, let's move to our top stories for today, Monday, 24th of May, 2021. Now, nearly 4 months after being named as Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru was announced dead on Friday, the 21st of May, after being involved in an air crash at the Kaduna International Airport. Now, the 350B aircraft with registered number F5NR203 was conveying the Chief of Army Staff and other officers to Kaduna to attend the passing out parade of soldiers from the Nigerian Army depot in Zaria.
Now, the plane was built to land at the Nigerian Air Force Base in the Mando area of Kaduna before it diverted and attempted to land at the Kaduna International Airport. Now, some of the locals who actually witnessed the crash came out and said that the troubled aircraft exploded and got burnt completely by the time it actually hit the ground.
Well, the question on lips of many is what exactly caused the crash?
Gosh, gosh, gosh. The big one, oh, you move.
Clearly the biggest and saddest news over the weekend in Nigeria, losing the Chief of Army Staff of the country just barely months since he took over. Now we're joined by our Abuja-based correspondent and Bureau Chief Ahmadine Uyi this morning once again. And also Dr. Ona Ekume, who's a chartered security professional in West Africa and renowned security expert. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the program. Good morning, Dr. Ona.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Ona. All right, let's begin by getting your feel on the tragic incident that just happened over the weekend, starting from Friday. What is your view on the whole incident that has happened?
Well, thank you. It's a very sad development. We lost a great chief of army staff right there. This is a young man who was imbued with patriotic zeal and who wanted to do good. He had a very productive leadership style. He was able to inspire his men, and he had their backs too in terms of things like welfare, logistics. He did his best, even within the short time he was in that office, to make a difference. So I think it's a very sad and great loss to this nation. Now, having said that, your intro, you were talking about perhaps what caused the crash. We really don't know what caused the crash yet, but there are some indications. For example, you said that the plane was supposed to have landed in Mando, the military airport there, but it didn't land there because of adverse weather. And he flew a few nautical miles out to the international airport to land. Now, there are many questions that are raised there, because obviously the distance from Mando and to international airport is not that much. I know that whole area. And so apparently that same adverse weather was raining over the international airport. Now, where I think what has been said, there are so many accounts that have come out, but apparently the plane was able to get on the runway, and but it wasn't able to stop. So there are many things that can cause that. Most certainly, a wind shear event could have caused that, or even a hydroplaning. Hydroplaning to me is lesser of a probability of what happened. But what really happened here was that the plane, the pilot was unable to bring the plane to a halt, and it went and then it cartwheeled over, and it hit the ground, and you had what we call the post-crash explosion, which is what the people, the eyewitnesses were describing as it burst into flames. Yes, it burst into flames, but that doesn't mean that it was it burst into flames in the air. It didn't burst into flames in the air. If you look at the debris field, if you look at the debris pattern, you find that all the debris were in one place, and it didn't burst into flame. If it burst into flame in the air, it would have had a wider debris field have scattered, and then the fragmentation, that's the bits that were down, would have been smaller than what you saw. So I think one of the problems here is that we should educate our people more to know how to describe things a little better, because there's so much ignorance. People just, once they see a fire, they say, oh, it burst into flame in the air. It didn't. It hit the ground. Because if you look at the video, you are showing some of the video on your screen. You look at the video, if you pull up close, you see that there was a lot of blackening on the floor there. So the fire was on the ground. It wasn't like a mid-air explosion.
Well, Dr. Ona, thank you very much. You're really painting a picture, because Nigerians are trying to make sense of what they were watching all over social media. But, Dr. Ona, it's quite important that I ask you this. Now, this incident is seen as a major blow to the fight against insurgency in Nigeria, of where we are now. Now, how do you think this will affect the operations of the military in the coming days?
Well, there's going to be a slight lull. There's going to be a lull, obviously, because every time you have a chief or an executive, he has a vision. He sets out where he's going. And remember, it wasn't only the chief that was lost. The director of military intelligence was in that craft, and the provost marshal, who is responsible for police functions within the army, was also in that crash, along with the chief of staff to this chief, that's to Coas. So you had a lot of very senior officers in there. And the one that hurts the most, I mean, not the most, they all hurt, really, believe you me. But one that's going to set us back in the short term, in answer to your question, is the loss of the DMI, because the DMI, intelligence is the arrowhead of CT operations. So the loss of the DMI is going to set us back, along with the loss of the chief in the short term. However, remember, the military in Nigeria is now a little better integrated. Military in Nigeria is now more unified under the office of the Chief of Defense Staff. So yes, first of all, the incident itself is going to be a distraction because we are still in mourning. And I issued a release yesterday saying that we shouldn't take our eyes off the ball of insurgency, because there are new developments within the last 1 week in terms of this insurgency in Nigeria. On Wednesday, Sheka was alleged to have been killed or alleged to have taken his life with a suicide vest. Now, it was said that 30 of his commanders had been arrested. And it was also said that ISWAP has named Abu Musab al-Banawi as the head of Boko. So these are very important developments. If you follow these things as closely as I do, and I have to in my work, these are very critical developments at this very sad time. So there's a lot of personnel changes taking place in Boko Central, and ISWAP is not a good enemy. ISWAP is a very dangerous enemy, deadly enemy.
All right, Dr. Ona, now we've just to come in because of time, we have actually recorded over 10 air crashes from the year 2008 to date. And Friday's crash comes barely 3 months to the day after the Nigerian military plane crashed short of a runway in the capital, Abuja, killing all 7 people on board. Now, some people believe that there could be a conspiracy behind this incident. Some people have certain opinions about this whole pattern, as it were, or as some people have quoted it to be. But what do you think is really happening to the aviation space, especially in the military?
Well, you know, Nigerians, we are almost like Arabs. We like a lot of conspiracy theories. But I'm sorry, in my business, I'm not allowed to carry on with conspiracy theories. I'm allowed to do forensics of every incident. So forensic, you have to do a deep dive. You have to analyze. You have to look at the science, and you have to look at what happened, the ecosystem, that actually contributed to that crash. Now, having said that, the crash of was it February, so the one that killed those 7 people who were going on a military mission, was clearly engine trouble. Now, that was a Beechcraft jet also. It was engine trouble. They were going out, they were outbound from Abuja airport, and the pilot detected engine trouble and turned the plane around, but he fell short of the airfield itself, and it crashed within the vicinity of the airport. Now, in that particular crash, I praised that pilot because he was able to avoid needless loss of lives, because he was able to move his plane away from populated areas before it crashed on the ground and killed only the occupants of that plane. And I said that guy was a hero. Now, having said that, so that was clearly mechanical trouble. Now, the AIB people and the aircraft manufacturers, Beechcraft, they should be able to find out what happened on that craft and say that wasn't weather-related. Now, that could have maintenance issues. Now, some people say, oh, perhaps it was sabotaged because it was going on a military mission. I don't believe that. What do you call it? Mechanical problems can develop anytime. Anybody who rides a car will know that even a new car, you can be going on the road one day, you will just pack up on the roadside and it's something small. Maybe you just hit a pothole and something came loose and it will pack you on the corner of the road. Now, having said that, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't investigate very carefully what happened to determine what happened in that particular crash, and then also know whether there were maintenance problems or perhaps even whether the equipment is getting old. That is why we're having these difficulties. But having said that, let us come to this recent crash, Friday's crash. Now, Friday's crash, I have said in other medium, was clearly a weather event. It was a weather event. It was facilitated by weather. The decisions that were made, Mando, no Mando, international airport. Now, you go in there, any plane, now I have said, even a 747, I would say, I've seen cases where 747 jets have been taken down by weather events, by wind shear factors. So, look, Mother Nature is so powerful. Let me tell you, we are just little pencils in the hand of nature. Mother Nature is so powerful that when nature turns it back on you or comes after you, there's really nothing you can do. You just ride it out. Now, in this case, when you're riding a little bird and that bird cartwheels, well, there's aviation fuel in that thing, and it's going to, you're going to have a crash, you're going to have a fireball, have an incendiary event, and that's exactly what we had in this case.
Well, renowned security expert, once again, we want to thank you, sir, Dr. Ona Ekumi, for coming on Breakfast Central, clearly bringing some insight for us this morning. Thank you very much once again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We're still joined right here by Ahmadine Uyi, our Abuja-based correspondent and bureau chief. Ahmadine, good morning to you. Well, clearly Abuja has been where everyone is talking about. What's been the reaction since the big news and the sad news over the weekend?
The presidency has ordered that all flags should be flown officially at half-mast to reflect the mood of the nation. Indeed, the nation is mourning. We have lost a chief of army staff. We did not just lose him, we also lost several other senior personnel, the director of army intelligence and others. It's been very, very difficult for Nigerians and especially for the military. Because remember when General Cairo came in, so many people had talked about a change of strategy. And he also, that was one of the first things he said, that there was going to be a change of strategy to see how the army, the military will be able to contain the growing insurgency and the growing insecurity crisis. So it's been a very sad development and situation for Nigeria.
All right, so Amadi, now it's been over 48 hours, and the number one citizen talking about the President Muhammadu Buhari, he has not come out to address citizens on this sad loss of the Chief of Army Staff. Is there any update on this at all?
For me, first of all, we have to understand, by now we should know President Muhammadu Buhari's style. It's not new. It's not the first time such national tragedies happen. And he doesn't come out himself. We've come to bend and say exactly he's doing this and it's unfortunate. I think it would be wrong. But if we go by history, I would rather say it is his style, and Nigerians have to accept it.
All right, Amadine, before we let you go, should we be expecting the, at least from the authorities in Abuja, findings from the black box anytime soon as to hear what really caused the crash on Friday?
The Minister of Aviation said over the weekend that the black box has been retrieved.
Okay.
It is hoped that the Accident Investigation Bureau will set to work and will come out with what caused that particular crash. It was unfortunate. Kaduna and Abuja by air is barely 15 minutes. It was meant to be less about a 15 minutes flight to Kaduna. Unfortunately, the army chief didn't make it, and it's so sad. But we'll keep our ears on the ground. I will be hoping that in the next few days, the Ministry of Aviation and the Minister of the Accident Investigation Bureau will come up and tell us what exactly caused it. But I know at several levels there are investigations already going. The Air Force has set up its own investigative panel. The Defense Headquarters has set up its own investigative panel. Nigerians will be itching to hear whatever they come up with.
All right, Amadine. Also, Nigerians will be perhaps maybe not itching because they were still mourning now. But the question is that after the mourning, well, who takes over next? I think that will be the next question that people will be thinking about and asking. What happens? Who will be the new Chief of Army Staff? Hello, Amadine.
Whoever is going to be appointed, I personally do not think is going to affect the war against terrorism, because remember that when the new service chiefs came on board, unlike the previous service chiefs where there were reports that at one point in time they did not see eye to eye, the Defense Headquarters stepped up and said, see, from now on we are going to be in charge of operations. And the other chiefs followed suit and said, yes, traditionally the Defense Headquarters is in charge of military operations. So we are going to work with the Defense Headquarters, we are going to form a united team. So whatever is only in terms of administration, I think there might be a lull in the Army's activities. But in terms of the war against terrorism, the war against insurgency, I think the tempo will continue to be sustained. And one remarkable thing is that if you observe that since this present crop of service chiefs came on board, we've had attacks in Damasak, we've had attacks in Konshisha, we've had attacks in Konduga, we've even had attacks in Damaturu, and a recent one, we've had attacks at the outskirts of Maiduguri. But one thing we must give it to this present military operation is that Boko Haram did not spend 24 hours within any Nigerian territory or Nigerian community. The moment the army leadership got wind that so and so places were attacked. Soldiers will be and take charge of the situation. And for us who are on the field, who have our ears on the ground, especially in the Northeast, there are so many attacks that is fit for public consumption. But one thing I know is that within the last 3 to 4 months, the military has done creditably well under the control of the defense headquarters. So with the army chief gone, I do not think that there will be a lull in that. I, however, think that the operation, the tempo of the operation and the tempo of the feats the military has achieved in the last few months will be sustained.
All right. Thank you very much once again for coming on the program. Abuja Bureau Chief and Correspondent Amadine Uyi. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Oluchi.
All right. Well, it's been quite...
It has.
Yeah.
But it's also encouraging to know that our eyes are still set on the goal in terms of insecurity and in terms of making sure that the terrorists do not think they have the upper hand at this point in time, because it could be seen as a weak point.
Yeah. Well, the fight against insurgency still continues right here, but the Breakfast Central continues, and we're going straight down for COVID updates.
All right, the African continent is still battling to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this time, Ethiopia's numbers seem to be increasing on a daily. Let's join Bernard Akede for more COVID-19 updates. Bernard, what's the latest?
Standing for Bernard, who is not here for this morning. But Jago, let's quickly give you some of the latest stories coming through on the African continent as regards the COVID-19 pandemic. Ethiopia has registered 381 new COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours. Now, this has taken its nationwide tally to 268,901. It is according to the country's Ministry of Health. The ministry said 8 new deaths were reported, bringing the death toll to 4,068. Now, the East African country reported 1,600 more recoveries, taking the national count to 227,080. Ethiopia, Africa's second most populous nation, has so far reported the largest number of COVID-19 cases in the East African region. Well, according to the ministry, Ethiopia currently has over 37,751 active COVID-19 cases, of whom 513 are said to be under severe health conditions. Egypt now has received the first batch of raw materials to manufacture China's Sinovac vaccine. But along with Sinovac raw materials, a new shipment of China's Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccines will also arrive at Cairo International Airport over the weekend. Egyptian Health Minister Hala Zayed said on May 9th that Egypt will start locally producing the Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine in June, and the first 2 million doses will be produced at the plants of the Egyptian holding company for biological products and vaccines. Well, during a press conference, Zayed said the local end products will be distributed to medical centers across Egypt in 2 months after being assessed by the Egyptian Drug Authority. Well, so far, Africa has recorded over 4.7 million cases with over 120,000 deaths. Well, in terms of testing, the continent has carried out over 46.6 million tests, while over 4.3 million recoveries have been recorded. Well, indeed, the pandemic is still out there, and it's good to see that African continent is going ahead to ensure that all that needs to be done is done to ensure that the continent achieve its herd immunity.
Right.
Thank you very much, Israel, for the latest when it comes to COVID-19. Thank you very much again.
All right, coming up next on Breakfast Central.
We've got entertainment for you. Seun Kuti and KJ featuring Somi's new album.
And in the world of sports, Man City is Premier League champions.
Also, programs to watch right here on News Central. You're still watching Breakfast Central on News Central. Let's take you to the Democratic Republic of Congo, that's the DRC, where Mount Nyiragongo has erupted for the first time in nearly 2 decades, sending lava sliding down the hillside towards the eastern city of Goma and forcing thousands of people to flee towards the border with Rwanda. Now, as the sky turned red and rivers of lava streamed from Mount Nyiragongo, there were concerns that its past deadly tragedies would be repeated.
Now, Nyiragongo's last eruption in 2002 killed 250 people and left 120,000 homeless in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It is one of the world's most active volcanoes and is considered among the most dangerous.
Well, joining us on Breakfast this morning is international development consultant from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Currently, he's in Washington, D.C., Intal Ali Massi. Welcome to the program, Intal.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, Intal, the last eruption was in 2002, and exactly 18 years after, we are witnessing yet another one. What do you think is the cause of this, latest volcanic eruption?
Well, this one was caused by, I would say, the same thing that happened last time in 2002, which would be what I would call the disruption in the rocks on the sides of Mount Nyiragongo. And from what we understand, that the fracture of the system that occurred then has reoccurred now. As a matter of fact, it seems that there was, from what I have been reading, there's a student who may have done a thesis at a university in Kinshasa who was predicting that this thing might happen in around 2026, 2028, but it looks as if this one happened earlier. However, the seismic center in North Kivu has been following, this movement in the activity. As we know, Mount Nyiragongo is one of the most active volcanoes that we have in the country. So basically, it's always the rocks. And from what we have seen at this time, as it erupted, and actually that could be the I would say what saved a little bit the people here, because when this one erupted, the lava that came out was more in terms of, it was more rocks than liquid. And that meant that it didn't spill out, it didn't flow very rapidly. And from what I heard, it was flowing at 5 kilometers per hour, which meant really that it was I would say, people are saying it was by the grace of God.
All right, so Rwanda's Emergency Management Ministry says that, according to what they've said, more than 3,500 Congolese crossed the border. What's the plan being made for these people?
Well, what I can tell you for this, I cannot dispute the numbers that, the authorities in Rwanda have put out, But what I know for sure is that there has been two movements. There was by yesterday morning, at night when the eruption went, already 17,000 people who were on the move and going towards Sake, which is towards the west, the western part of the city, and those people were going towards Bukavu. Now, the people who went through Rwanda had gone because most of them wanted to go through Rwanda. That would be at the border of Gisenyi, and then from there continue on either in their cars or maybe they'll take a bus so as they can go towards Bukavu, because there's a way to get to Bukavu going through Rwanda. Now, what happened at that particular point, as I say, they could find, as they said, maybe 35,000 people who went through. We know by now that by yesterday morning, a whole lot of people had gone back to Goma. Meaning people have done a reverse. That is because most of the people that I talked to were saying that they did not feel safe in Rwanda. So they were fearing for their own safety. And because of that, I guess everybody knows that by now that there's bad blood between, Rwanda and the DRC, and most locals understand what's going on. So they crossed the border because it was a dire situation. And by what I know, the movement at the border was not that smooth. At one point, the Rwandan authorities had closed their border and did not want people to go through. Then they went through, and then my own brother actually crossed into Rwanda, and by yesterday morning he was back in the DRC, meaning in Goma. So what I would say at this point is we don't know for sure at this point how many people of those who crossed into Rwanda are still there, but we know that a whole lot of them have come back. And then of course those who wanted to continue on to go to cross through Changugu have done so.
Well, thank you so much, Imtan Alimasi, International Development Consultant from DR Congo, live from Washington.
All right, so we have Sam Dandy, who's here to spice up your morning on Breakfast Central with entertainment update. Take it away, Sam Dandy.
Hi guys. So let me start by saying that I'm not even sure I have enough sleep, because last night I was at the exclusive premiere for the Lockdown the film. Now the film follows a coincidental and chaotic meeting of 6 individuals from different walks of life as a result of a sudden government-imposed lockdown following the outbreak of a pandemic. Now this sounds a little familiar, right? Because we've all been through this. Now forced to share the same 4 walls, professionals and characters' flaws are exposed, and unexpected romance, starts to happen in the midst of all the chaos. Now some of the members will blow your mind. I'm talking Nollywood veteran actors side by side. Omotala Jalade was there, Shola Shibawale, Tony Umez, Norbert Young, Chioma Chukwuka, Charles Awurum Adame. And we also saw a couple of young people. I'm talking Jide Kene was also part of the film. Peter P. Square apparently was supposed to be in the film, but yeah, Deyemi Okanlawa, Inidima that we know and love, Bam Bam from Big Brother was also there as well, and Josh Too Funny. So it's a film that just packs almost everyone. I got to talk to, of course, the director as well, Moses, and the film premieres, for the public on May 28th. I have a little part of the film that I want you to see. Watch this.
Everybody, get in! That I should give your job to somebody else to do. Papa, I don't hammer money. Papa, put me down. Papa! You want to use your own hand to create a problem for yourself, Abi? Take your position, everyone! This thing not the truth, please. I don't want to go die and leave my money.
Was it wrong? Excuse me. Why are you shouting? This is a hospital, not a prison.
We must get out of this place.
This is a problem.
Yeah. So you won't die? Oh, so you want to die?
Me, I need to go. I need to go.
He's mad. This hospital is under lockdown.
So why are we locked here?
All right, so right now I'm feeling super special because none of you have seen it. I have. But of course, the movie's out on the 28th of this month. Well, I have another story, right? So this one is exciting for people who are fans of Somi. Now, as we anticipate her album, the release of Zonzile, well, she decided to make or take Makiba's life to theater. And she decided to name it, of course, In fact, if you don't know who Makiba is also called Mama Africa. She's a South African singer, United Nations Goodwill Ambassador, and a civil rights activist who advocated, for apartheid in South Africa. Now, the musical Somi has decided to call Dreaming Zenzile. Now, the album will feature, Somi's rendition of some of Makiba's favorite or iconic songs, like Pata Pata, which became global in 1967. I wasn't born then, people. But recognizing the contribution, of Makiba's contribution to music, Somi has also decided to work with some incredible African artists, and the list, it's amazing. So first, of course, she's going to be collaborating with Grammy Award-winning band from South Africa called Ladysmith Black Mambazo. And of course, Seun Kuti, our Nigerian Afrobeat musician, Seun Kuti happens to be. Then of course, Beninese singer and songwriter Angelique Kidjo is also going to be on it. And I'm super excited because, this is all richness, African richness. Of course, Somi lived in Nigeria for, a couple of times, but she also has roots with Rwanda. So even though she lives in America, there's a lot of African sound going on here. And we're looking forward to seeing this album coming out soon called Dreaming Zenzile. And of course, as well, the musical, the theatrical musical. And I'm just looking forward to this.
So am I.
All right, thank you very much, Sam, for the latest in entertainment. I can't wait to watch that movie, Lockdown.
I'm already beefing some Dandy. How can you do that without me? Like, seriously? All right, Sam Danny. But I need you to answer just this one question. What do you guys want to drive in on your wedding day? I mean, how would you like to arrive? For Sam, I'm suspecting for you, it could be a Bentley, Rolls Royce.
A chopper. Can I come in a chopper? Can the chopper land on the roof of the church?
Okay, I rest my case for you, Sam.
Okay, so I actually think I have the perfect ride for Lisa. Come on his wedding day. I'm looking forward to that. But you know what? We need to watch this.
Okay, so that's a wedding trail. I'm not sure which country that is from. I'll confirm that, but I think it's creative.
I'd like to see you in it anyway.
What? No way. No way. But what was that for a wedding trail coming into the wedding? And the bride clearly had dressed, clearly, filling all the space, and the groom and the flower girls and everyone being with her. So that was quite nice to see.
That's literally a treat. All right, well, still to come on Breakfast Central for you this morning.
Well, Manchester City, our champions, Riyad Mahrez wins again with the City. All right, still Breakfast Central News Central. Time now for sports. Onyechi Obaro has the latest for us. Onyechi, good morning to you. Well, all about the Premier League yesterday, and I feel sad for Leicester City because it looks like it wasn't meant to be.
Yes, of course. Good morning, Olisa. Nice to talk sports once again here. A bad one from Brendan Rodgers' side, even with the hard-fought win they had. Even having to lose the last game in the Premier League, that has given them the slot for Europa for next season. But big opportunity for Liverpool as Liverpool made it there to be third on the list after Manchester United. After a very rough season for Liverpool, they were able to still seal that Champions League slot. I'm all about Liverpool here, and I'm so happy that they were able to seal that slot there. But big congratulations are in order for Manchester City, clinching the title this time around, of course, 3 times in a row for Pep Guardiola, and his tactics still play well for him this season.
All right, so Sadio Mane is scoring twice for Liverpool. They qualified. Man City have won it. Where Riyad Mahrez scored, Aguero scored twice for them. But everyone's talking about the Leicester City game against Tottenham and Chelsea losing to that team called Aston Villa.
Yes, that game for Leicester City and Tottenham. Tottenham were able to seal at least the last game with a big win. even without having the coach, of a coach who is just standing in place, waiting to be called. Maybe he would be the coach of the side, or he would have to step down for another coach. But Tottenham were able to seal it. Maybe Harry Kane was targeting that golden boot, which he got at the end of the day, with more goals to his name ahead of Mohamed Salah. But Tottenham having to win against Leicester City side, it was a loophole coming from Leicester and the way they got the squad for the day. But Tottenham had an advantage, 4 goals in a row. So it's a good one for Tottenham, sealing the last Premier League game with a win, a big win there.
All right, thank you very much, Yecho Barrow. Well, Chelsea, at least they made it, but congratulations to Tottenham for helping them for doing it. But we'll get much later on in the game at 10:30 a.m. West African time with you.
All right, we have other programs for you to watch later today.
In the game at 10:30 a.m., join Yecho Barrow for the latest in sports.
At 11 a.m. West African time, we have Business Edge with Tolokwadilere Balogun.
Tonight at 9 p.m. West African time, NC Continental Prime. Don't want to miss it. All right, so it's been quite a packed one this morning, Monday, the 24th day of May, 2021.
But we'll be here again tomorrow, same time, with Olisa and Oluchi. On behalf of the production crew, we're saying thank you and do have a lovely day.
Bye. Enjoy your week.